Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. We've got some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and our first story of the day is by CastielAOTL. Moronic Karen tells me a white woman to go back to Mexico. Y'all, it finally happened to me. Never thought it would. But today, it happened, and I have finally stopped shaking long enough to tell it. So after work today, I went to my local grocery store because I was out of both of waffles and garlic salt, which are both essential to my continued existence in this dystopian hellscape of a country. Now, yes, I just got off of work, but my job is extremely casual. I wear jeans and a t-shirt daily. Today, that t-shirt was navy in color, with a dinosaur in the middle of a meteor shower trying not to cry with the caption, "I'm doing my best," on it. All this to say, I should never be mistaken for an employee anywhere. Now, they rearranged the spice aisle for some goddarn reason, so I was trying to hunt down the cheap garlic salt. 89 cents versus over $3, so I was determined to find it. Jamming out to Hamilton, my purse across my body, very clearly a customer, when this absolute witch rams me with her cart. It wasn't super hard and I only stumbled a bit, but still, what the heck, lady? I turned to look and there she is. 60s brown Karen hair with bad highlights, oversized knockoff purse, huge sunglasses on the top of her head, and a stunningly ironic Trump 2020 face mask on. I pull out one earbud. Can I help you? I was born and raised in the Midwest. I am polite to a fault. Rude lady in a snooty, condescending voice. Shouldn't you not have those on while you're working? Excuse me? I am both baffled and have a bit of social anxiety, so this confrontation is really weirding me out. You freaking millennials. I legit thought stuff like this was only said on TV or by the traffic cone in chief. So rude and lazy, stop wondering and help me find, starts rattling off a list really fast. Now, I have a little bit of an auditory processing problem. Not enough to hinder me in day-to-day life, but basically I have great hearing. I can hear just fine, but it'll sometimes take me a second or two to process what I heard. Especially when I'm stressed out or distracted. I'll say, "What?" to you, and like halfway through you repeating yourself, it'll click in my head and I'll cut you off kind of thing. Normally, to combat this, I tend to just read people's lips because my eyes work faster than my ears, but you know, COVID happened, so no visual crutch for me. I could have helped. I know that the store liked the back of my hand and I'm overly accommodating when flustered. I just needed her to slow down a bit. Also, keep in mind for the rest of this, I tend to respond a beat or two after she finishes speaking. "I'm sorry, I can't." Rude lady screeching, "Did you just interrupt me?" Me now freaking out because she's drawing attention to this, and holy crap, do I want to melt into the floor. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand." "Oh my god, why don't you just go back to Mexico then if you don't understand English?" I was just utterly freaking baffled at that point. Not because of that astounding display of moronic and hypocritical racism. It's Indiana. I'm kind of desensitized to it at this point. Oh no, that's too easy. You see, dear reader, not only have I obviously been speaking perfect, unaccented English for this whole encounter, not only have I hardly spoken a word of Spanish since college, not only was I actually born in Michigan, but I am literally so painfully white. I'm talking naturally blonde hair, blue eyes, horrifically pale skin kind of white. I got none of the good Italian genes, just the dark AF circles under my eyes that no amount of sleep can cure. I wasn't even in the international food aisle. How in the freak this dumb witch thought I was Mexican still utterly astounds me, and it probably always will. If I didn't understand her before, I understand her less now. Me, literally unable to turn off being polite. "Ma'am, please leave me alone, I don't." "How dare you talk to customers like that? Where is your manager?" Me shaking and feeling tears well up because I really don't like being yelled at. "Please stop yelling, I don't." "Don't talk back to me, you little witch. Get me your manager." "Manager, comprendo, you stupid." Racial slur for Mexicans. Now again, reader, I am crazy white. Just so white. So white that I actually looked behind me to just make sure this insanity was actually directed at me. But you remember how I said I was desensitized to racism at that point? Yeah, not that desensitized apparently. Me now getting angry but still too darn polite for my own good. Ma'am, that's really offensive. Could you not say crap like that and just leave me? Rude lady literally shrieking and grabbing my freaking arm. How dare you curse at me, you little whoar? How am I a whoar in this scenario? Lord knows. So, a fun thing I learned about myself today is that while my fight or flight response is still freeze, apparently my social anxiety has a temporary rage override. Get your filthy hands off of me and step the freak back, you racist hillbilly freak. I yank my arm back and she actually lets go, looking at me just stunned. You don't get to just freaking grab people whenever you want, you entitled piece of crap. Especially not in a pandemic, now back off. I don't even freaking work here. At this point, we've drawn a reasonable crowd and an actual employee rushes over and steps a little between us. The store employee says, "What seems to be the problem?" Rude lady straightening up and glaring again. "Your coworker cursed me out and shoved me when I just wanted some help finding things on my list." Y'all, was this woman serious? Did she think no one else heard her screeching? Store employee glances at me for literally 1 second. Yeah, she doesn't work here. Of course she does. She has an ID badge. She points to my purse, and I look down to see that my work ID has indeed come out of my purse. I keep it on a bungee, but it clearly states the chemical company I work for in large, bold green letters. The store colors are red and black. The store employee says, "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to lower your voice and calm down, or I'll have to ask you to leave. Our employees don't have ID badges like that. She doesn't work here." "Well, she still assaulted me and I want to press charges." Now, at this point, my temporary rage override is fading and I'm shaking, trying not to cry, and on the verge of a panic attack again. I literally cannot speak to defend myself. And then, my hero. This awesome dude, another shopper, who'd come into the aisle sometime during Rude Lady's tirade, looked about my dad's age, mid-50s. Awesome customer says, "That's not true, that crazy lady grabbed this poor girl's arm. This young lady never touched her." After hearing him speak up, others in the crowd chimed into my defense. Rude lady shrunk down, realizing that no one was on her side. Store employee turned to me. "Ma'am, do you want to press charges?" I already regret this, but I shook my head. I couldn't speak at that point. I just desperately wanted to go home and get away from this lady and all of those eyes. Store employee nodded in agreement just as the store manager came over. Store employee said, "You can go. I'll handle things with my manager." Rude lady sticking to her guns for some ungodly reason. "You're letting her go? Didn't you hear me? She attacked me. I want her to be arrested and deported back to Mexico." Awesome customer said, "Lady, are you sick in the head? She has blonde hair and blue eyes. She's not Mexican. And even if she was, you assaulted her." After another assurance from store employee and the manager, I just scurried out of that place without my garlic salt or my waffles. Had a lovely panic attack in my car, drove home once I felt safe enough to do so, and here I am. Only shaking a little bit and starting to realize how kind of freaking hilarious that all was. I'll go back for the waffles and garlic salt tomorrow. For tonight, I need a freaking drink. So although OP did not press charges in this story, do you think in retrospect OP should have, and if a situation like this happened again in the future, they should press charges? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by The Undesired, The Best Breath I Ever Took. Story time. This is more of an I don't work here anymore story. Hope it fits here. So I went to my old job today to handle some business. Not related to work at all, because they are the closest place I could go to deal with what needed to be done. I walk in and handle my business, chatting with the only ex-coworker I still talk to. My old manager comes out when she hears I'm there and greets me in her sickeningly sweet voice that is so fake it hurts. Now, before I share the conversation, here's some backstory. The company provides handouts, flyers, and signage for all sales and promotions. However, once my manager found out how skilled I am in design, she would have me create personalized promotional materials for our store. Not to toot my own horn too much, but they were quite successful. To make everyone's life easier, I created multiple files that needed extremely simple edits that could be used for just about any occasion. So if I was not in when they were needed, anyone could make changes. I also made files for personal touches, like a thank you to customers for using our services that were made for weddings, birthdays, funerals, etc. All in, I had made roughly 50 files for these uses. They were my personal creations that were in no way tied to the company, and in truth, I believe the company forbade stores from doing such things since they gave us promotional materials approved for use. I was never given credit for my work, and was even told to my face during my review that netted me a lovely 1% raise, company average was 5%, that my work was nothing that she or someone else couldn't have done, so it didn't justify a raise. So here is the conversation as it transpired. Manager will be known as K. Hey OP, long time no see. Hi, yes, it's been a while. Well, I was gonna call you, but I didn't want to get you in trouble at your new job. I had a question for you. At this point, I am rolling my eyes and finally fully turn to face her. Remember all those files you made for sales and such? Well, we can't find them on the computer. We wanted to use them for such and such sale. What folder did you put them in? Cue huge smile under my mask. Well, as I created those files, when I left, I deleted everything that was mine from the machine. Why would you delete them since we use them all the time? You made it quite clear that my work was unappreciated and nothing I did was special. As you felt that way, I didn't think you needed my files for use since it was apparently something that anyone could do. This is a serious problem. You deleted our work files without permission. Actually, I deleted my files. I created every last one of them. Not one was created by the company, nor were they approved for use by anyone higher than you. There is nothing wrong with me deleting anything that was made by me for my personal use. Besides, there was nothing there that you or anyone else couldn't produce, right? Stunned silence. However, if you want those files, I can give you my designer rate for each one and you could submit them as a store expense. I'll be happy to recreate them for you once I have a paid invoice for the work. You have my number, so let me know. I said see you later to my coworker and walked out. The breath of fresh air never felt more satisfying as the door closed behind me. It must have felt so incredibly satisfying to be able to just throw it right back in their face like that. The exact person that told you that the work didn't even matter, that anybody can do that stuff. Right back at ya. This next story is by Coffee Before Breakfast. Karen grabs my serial killer book thinking I'm a lazy employee. My mom has been making masks as a little side hustle and is always going to stores to find more fabric. I decided to go with her this time to Walmart because I wanted to get out of the house. She wanted to get this particular fabric she hadn't been able to find anywhere else, but when we got to the fabric section, there were no employees. Fine, my mom rings the bell, which is pretty loud, and then went to find her fabric and wait. Still no employee after 10 minutes. At this point, I'm sitting on the desk meant to cut fabric, crisscrossed and everything. Something to note here is I look nothing like a Walmart employee. Walmart employees have a vest with a symbol on it, blue shirt and khaki pants. I'm wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. I'm also reading Top 10 Worst Serial Killers book to pass the time, true crime nerd. So definitely not working. My mom puts the bolts of fabric on the table and goes to track down an employee, and leaves me to read. Maybe 5 minutes later, an elderly woman holding a bolt of fabric walks up to me. She didn't look like a Karen, and asks if I could cut her fabric as well. I tried telling her that I didn't work there, but insisted I did because you're already there. No, I really don't work here. I'm just waiting for my mom to come back with an employee. But you're at the cutting station and you need to do your job. Ma'am, I'm not working here, I'm reading. Gestures book. I go back to my book and try to ignore her, thinking the conversation is over. No. This lady grabs my book and yells, "Why aren't you doing your job?" She then looks at the book and freezes for a second. I use that to grab my book again from her and say, "I don't work here, lady, but now that I know that you're so interested in my book, why don't I read you a part of it? Would you rather the man that slaughtered and did worse to over 100 young boys or the man that mutilated little girls?" Sure, it wasn't the nicest thing to say, but it got her to leave me alone and go somewhere else. I just feel like if you go up to somebody and you ask them if they work there and they say, "No, I'm waiting for my mom to come back with an employee," that's such a specific response that how could you think that was a lie? If anybody was trying to lie to you about working there, why would it be, "No, I'm waiting for my mom, she'll come back with an employee any minute"? Nobody's gonna lie about being there with their mom. This next story is by Tosser88899. I don't work here, but I know more than they do. About 15 years ago, I was doing some window shopping in the TV section of Best Buy. This was in the plasma TV era, and I'm a huge AV nerd. I couldn't afford a new TV, so I was just looking when I saw a lady looking for help and no one was there. She walked up and asked me a question about a Westinghouse plasma. And since no one was there, I answered her question. And the 20 that followed that. I explained why some were better than others, what features to pay for and those to skip, why some of the same size were much more expensive and why. You get it. At the end of all this, I recommend two she should buy. An LG and a Panasonic. She ended up buying the Panasonic. The process took about 10 minutes total. She then said I was the most knowledgeable sales associate she had ever worked with and wanted to tell my manager. I looked at her with a big smile and said, "Oh, sorry ma'am, I don't work here." Then the sales manager, who saw about 3/4 of this whole thing, walked up and offered me a job on the spot. If you're looking for work, it's always good to have advanced knowledge on these kind of household things, especially electronics, because it does give you a leg up here. As you can see, they got offered a job on the spot for Best Buy. That being said, somebody that's an AV nerd might be doing a little bit better than just a Best Buy sales associate, but who knows? And our final story of the day is by Milhent. Somebody read too much I Don't Work Here Lady stories. I am quite short, just under 5 feet, and most of the time I am quite comfortable with my height, but supermarkets are my bane. All too often I find things that I need up on the top shelf, right where I can maybe tease them down with my fingertips standing on my toes if I am lucky. So usually I prefer not to risk tipping the whole shelf over and just ask the closest fellow shopper if they will get whatever I need. Never ever had any problems. Those who are busy will just ignore me. Those who have a moment will help. But yesterday, I ran into a man who just had to turn it into a huge confrontation. I was looking at a pepper jar thinking if I can get it down myself, or better look for help. He came up right at my side and took a similar jar. So before he moved away, I asked if he could get a second jar for me, please. He immediately exploded that I am too dumb and can't see that he doesn't work here. He is just shopping like I do. His rant lasted a couple of minutes, insulting me and generally swearing. I was so glad that I finally grew thicker skin. He nearly drove me to tears before I got angry. There was also a heavy dose of stunned, "I can't believe people like that exist" out of Reddit stories. Thankfully, another shopper came past us and I turned to her, ignoring still ranting man, and asked her if she would get the pepper for me. She did, and I thanked her, turning to leave. I think I heard the man choke mid-rant when I was leaving, but I didn't look back. For a second there, I thought that title was targeting me. Somebody definitely has some anger issues here. Either that or they were just waiting for the right opportunity to drop the I Don't Work Here Lady remedies on this Karen that came up to them asking to get this pepper off the shelf. How dare they? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which one and why in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe if you haven't, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss an upcoming video from the Storytime channel. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, so no matter what you did, thank you for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time right here.